Hello, parents and guardians of students in 8th grade. If you are getting this video, it's because your student is in 8th grade Algebra 1, and they're in my class. I am Miss Garza, and I'm sorry I'm getting this video to you like 2 weeks into school. Usually I would send it one of the first weeks of school just because I wanted you to have this information about my class. I wanted you guys to know exactly what to expect with my class. That your students have already your 8th graders have already started to really get in the rhythm of everything, and they're doing a great job. So thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to listen and see what our class is like. So first, I'd like to talk about these things called pathways. Pathways is a new way to organize our units now. We organize units using these things called pathways. It kind of makes them feel like they're on the right track to mastering whatever they are working on. And we are giving them choice in the things that they do, and we are making them responsible for their learning using these pathways. And I'm going to show you what one looks like in just a second. Every pathway consists of video lessons, notes. They consist of a math workshop, so they would come to me in a small group setting for like kind of one-on-one tutorials. It makes things a little bit more personal. And then each pathway includes an independent practice. So that's like a homework assignment, but most of the time we're going to be able to complete those in class unless they don't finish them. Then it also consists of a spiral review, which is something that we have learned before that we need to review and to make sure that we know how to do. And the last part of the pathways are choice activities. The students will get a list of things that they're able to choose from, and which is really nice because they can kind of build their responsibility for their learning by choosing which they want to do, but also having choice and kind of freedom to navigate things how they want to. So here's an example of our Unit 1 pathways. We did this one the very first full week of school, Pathway 1A. So it's broken down into pieces. The first one was equation basics, then we moved on to two-step equations. And you might see some things that you recognize, like the independent practices here. This is like a homework page. It's where they just practice independently. And then you have the activity choices down here where they're only going to pick about 3 to 4 depending on how many points that they have earned. So at the end of this, they will have earned 100 points or more. And there's a reason for the or more, that we get extra credit. We get points towards a class store, just different type of stuff like that. This pathway right here, 1B, was the one that we worked on this past week while we were virtual. So tomorrow, when we go back to school, we will be making sure that we have everything completed and we were on track with everything we were doing. So we had 3 different parts of this pathway. We started that whenever we were in school, and then we continued on, and you will see the choices here that they would pick from. We are moving on to Pathway 1C. This is the last pathway of the unit. So after that, we will have a test, and the test is scheduled for September the 17th. It's subject to change, of course, but you never know. So so this is what the pathways look like. Your student has a copy of these, and attached to the pathway are the independent practices, the spiral review, some of the activities if they're on paper, and then anything else that is on paper that we complete for that pathway. So let me give you a quick look at what my Google Classroom does look like. So whenever they go to Google Classroom, they would go to Google, just regular Google. They find this little button right here, and it pops up with all the different options. They would click the classroom, and it would come up here. These are all my classrooms, but your student would have one that looks like this, and it would say Miss Garza's Algebra 1. In the stream is where I post most of my announcements. So anytime we're virtual, this is where I'm posting what we're doing for the day. So for instance, this was Friday, I posted just a list of things that they were supposed to have completed during the week, and then some information about the pathway. Under classwork is where they would find the actual assignments or choice activities. So this past week, remember, we were all virtual, so they were kind of getting new into the Google Classroom, but this is where everything is going to be for the rest of the year. So we're going to find this stuff. They're going to get pretty used to the Google Classroom stuff. Hopefully it's quicker than that. Okay, so let's see. So grading, I just kind of wanted to go over grading real quick. There are going to receive, so these are some of the grades that you're going to see in Skyward. You'll see an overall pathway grade, which is just those points that are added up on that side of the list to hopefully 100 if they've completed everything and make sure that I was giving them points along the way. The independent practices, so those are kind of like I said, the homework grades. If they, sometimes it's a little bit easier for them to think of those as homework instead of just independent practice. But those are given grades. You will have a pathway quiz at the end of each pathway, just a quick quiz to make sure that they understood what they were trying to pick up. And then, of course, the unit test at the end. There's my puppy. So late work, I do take 10 points off each day that something is late. And the pathways should help with them to kind of stay on top of things. They have dates on the top, so when things are going to be completed. And I'm going to be very organized with what stuff you need to be working on when. And but the nice thing about these pathways is they can get ahead if they want to. They can work ahead because they see all the things that they're going to be expected of, and they could go forward if they really felt comfortable doing so. They will also, a grade will be or a 0 will be given in the grade book if they do not have the pathway turned in, or if there are other stuff not turned in. Sorry. Okay, so let's talk about absent work. Whenever a student is absent, I would usually, like if they were absent for a day or two, I would usually just kind of let them have that extra day or two to work on something. So the late penalties, the 10 points off something that's not due exactly at the time that it's due is going to be okay for them. I usually am pretty good about keeping up with who's remembering who's there and who wasn't on a certain day. But if I ever have to just kind of remind me, that's okay. Students can take responsibility. So if they know that they were going to be absent ahead of time, I would have them go ahead and try to work ahead. They'll also have to be responsible for the missed lesson videos. So if they missed lessons, they'll need to go back and watch those lesson videos, which will be on the Google Classroom, like always for them. And the notes will be in my classroom that they'll be able to find, and they'll just copy the notes down while they're watching the video. And the video will be me teaching them. Okay, so then the last thing is if we're ever virtual again, just to kind of put that out there, or if a student is virtual because they're being quarantined or something like that, then everything we do is going to be on Google Classroom. So we're going to be working a lot with our computers in class. However, everything in class is going to be very much like, yes, we're still teaching in person. We're not just focused on our computer, but whatever we do in class is going to be mimicked in Google Classroom. And then if you need to contact me, this is my email, mgarza@conley.org. I do email throughout the day, so I check it regularly. It's always on my screen at work. So if you need anything, just let me know. And that is it for my video. Thank you guys.